Stop scrolling for a moment. Just stop. Because if you're watching this right now, if these words have found you in this exact moment of your life, it's not an accident. Carl Jung believed there are no coincidences. He called it synchronicity. The universe doesn't just throw random events at you, it orchestrates them. And right now, you're being orchestrated into the most significant transformation of your entire existence. You're not here because you're broken. You're here because you're breaking through. Welcome to your comeback. You're seeing this because you're entering the biggest comeback of your life. Chapter 1. The Dark Night of the Soul. Let's start with the truth. The raw, unfiltered truth that nobody wants to talk about on social media, behind their highlight reels and filtered successes. You've been through something, haven't you? Maybe it was a relationship that imploded. Maybe you lost someone you thought would be there forever. Maybe it was a career that crumbled, a dream that died, a version of yourself that just stopped working. Or maybe it's been quieter than that. Maybe it's been a slow erosion. Day after day, you've felt yourself becoming someone you don't recognize. The fire that used to drive you? Gone. The confidence you once had? Vanished. The hope that tomorrow would be different? Barely a whisper. Carl Jung had a name for this. He called it the dark night of the soul. And here's what most people don't understand about this phase. It's not a punishment. It's not evidence that you've failed or that you're weak or that you're somehow less than everyone else who seems to have it all figured out. The dark night of the soul is an initiation. It's the universe's way of saying, the person you've been pretending to be, they're done. It's time to meet who you actually are. Jung himself went through this. Between 1913 and 1917, one of the greatest psychological minds in history had what he called his confrontation with the unconscious. He had disturbing visions, heard voices, felt like he was losing his mind. His colleagues thought he was having a psychotic break. But he wasn't breaking down. He was breaking open. During those darkest years, Jung discovered the concepts that would change psychology forever. The collective unconscious, archetypes, the shadow, individuation. His breakdown became his breakthrough. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. You think you're falling apart? You're actually falling together. Every piece that's crumbling is making space for something more authentic, more powerful, more aligned with who you were always meant to become. So here's your first realization. Your suffering has been preparation. Not punishment, preparation. The caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. It has to completely dissolve inside the cocoon first. It literally digests itself. It becomes soup. Complete cellular chaos, that's where you've been. In the soup. In the dark. In the dissolution. But here's what the caterpillar doesn't know while it's happening. That chaos is the only way to butterfly. And you, my friend, you're about to fly. Chapter 2. The Shadow. Meeting your darkness. Now we need to talk about the part of you that you've been running from. The part you hide. The part you're ashamed of. The part you pretend doesn't exist. Jung called this the shadow. And your comeback? It cannot happen until you turn around and face it. The shadow isn't just your bad qualities. It's everything about yourself that you've deemed unacceptable. Everything your parents, your society, your culture told you was wrong to be. Maybe you were told being ambitious was selfish, so you buried your drive. Maybe you were told being sensitive was weak, so you armored your heart. Maybe you were told taking up space was arrogant, so you made yourself small. Maybe you were told your anger was ugly. Your sexuality was shameful, your needs were too much. So you took all these parts of yourself, these raw, powerful, authentic parts, and you shoved them down into your unconscious. You locked them in the basement of your psyche. But here's the problem. Whatever we repress doesn't disappear. It grows in the dark. This is why you sabotage yourself right when things are going well. This is why you attract the same toxic patterns in different packaging. This is why you feel exhausted even though you're not really living. This is why your life feels like it's happening to you instead of through you. Your shadow isn't gone. It's running the show from the basement. It's pulling strings you can't see. It's making decisions you don't consciously understand. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Read that again. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You think you're unlucky? You're unconscious. You think the universe is against you? You're at war with yourself. You think people keep betraying you? You betrayed yourself first when you abandoned those parts of you that needed love. So how do we fix this? How do we integrate the shadow? First, you stop running. You turn around. You look at the parts of yourself you've been terrified to acknowledge. When you feel intense emotion, rage, jealousy, shame, fear, don't suppress it. Get curious about it. Ask, what part of me needs attention right now? What am I not allowing myself to be? When someone triggers you, they're showing you your shadow. The things that bother you most about others are often the things you haven't accepted in yourself. The woman who annoys you because she's too loud, you've probably silenced yourself. The man who irritates you because he's too confident, you've probably abandoned your own power. The person who seems too selfish, you've probably neglected your own needs. Here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop fighting your darkness is the moment you find your light. Because your shadow doesn't just contain the negative stuff. It also contains your hidden gold, your repressed power, your authentic expression, your creative genius, your primal vitality. All the energy you've spent pushing parts of yourself away, that energy is about to become fuel for your transformation. Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. So here's your homework for this comeback. Start a shadow journal. Every day write down, what triggered me today? What quality in others bothered me? What emotion am I avoiding? What desire am I pretending I don't have? What part of me am I keeping small? Stop performing. Stop pretending. Stop hiding. Your comeback begins when you become whole. And you become whole by retrieving all the parts of yourself you left behind. This isn't easy work. It's the hero's journey into your own underworld. It's scary down there. It's messy. It's uncomfortable. But it's the only way home to yourself. And once you integrate your shadow, once you reclaim that power, you become unstoppable. Chapter 3. The Death of the False Self. There's a version of you that needs to die. And the reason your life has felt so hard lately? It's because you've been trying to keep that version alive. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear for the world. The role we play, the identity we've constructed to feel safe, to be accepted, to belong. But here's the tragedy. You can spend your entire life perfecting a persona that has nothing to do with who you actually are. Think about it. Who did you become to survive your childhood? The good kid who never caused problems? The overachiever who earned love through accomplishments? The funny one who learned to deflect with humor? The invisible one who stayed safe by staying small? Who did you become to fit in at school? In your relationship? In your career? In your family system? Layer by layer, year by year, you built this identity. This way of being that worked until it didn't. And now? Now you're exhausted because maintaining a false self requires an enormous amount of energy. It's like being an actor who never gets to leave the stage. You can't relax. You can't rest. You can't just be. This is what your recent crisis was really about. Your false self is dying, and every cell in your body is screaming because it feels like you are dying. But you're not dying. The mask is dying. The role is dying. The performance is dying. And that feels like death because you've confused the mask with your face. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who your parents wanted you to be. Not who your partner needs you to be. Not who society tells you to be. Not who your trauma made you become. Who you actually are. Let's get specific. Your false self usually has these characteristics. It's driven by external validation. You need constant proof that you're good enough, worthy enough, lovable enough. It's exhausted from performing. You're always on, always managing how others perceive you. It avoids conflict. You'd rather betray yourself than risk rejection or disapproval. It lives in future or past. When I achieve X, then I'll be happy. If only I hadn't done Y, I'd be okay now. It's addicted to control. Because if you can control everything, maybe you can finally feel safe. Does this sound familiar? Are you starting to see the bars of your cage? Here's what needs to happen for your comeback. The false self must die, and you must let it. This means stop performing, stop curating, stop managing everyone's perception of you. Let people see you unfiltered, unedited, unoptimized. Stop explaining yourself. You don't owe anyone a justification for your transformation. No is a complete sentence. Stop abandoning yourself for acceptance. If being yourself cost you relationships, those relationships were preventing your growth anyway. Stop delaying your life. The perfect time is a myth your false self uses to keep you safe and small. There is only now. What you're moving toward is what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming yourself. Not the self your ego wants to be, not the self that looks good on paper, the self that is true. The word individuation comes from individual, which means undivided. You're becoming undivided, integrated, whole. You're retrieving all the parts of yourself you abandoned. You're healing the splits. You're no longer fragmenting yourself to fit into spaces that were too small for your soul. I know what you're thinking, but if I let go of who I've been, who will I become? What if people don't like the real me? What if I lose everything? Let me tell you something. You can't lose what's real. You can only lose what was never truly yours. The relationships that end when you start being authentic, they were with your mask, not with you. The opportunities that disappear when you stop performing, they required your imprisonment. The identity that crumbles when you stop maintaining it, it was a prison, not a self. Yes, there will be loss. Yes, there will be grief. Yes, there will be people who prefer your cage because it made them feel comfortable. Let them go. Because on the other side of that death is your resurrection. On the other side of that loss is your life. On the other side of that ending is your biggest comeback. Jung said, the self is not only the center, but also the whole circumference which embraces both conscious and unconscious. It is the center of this totality. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming complete. And that completion, that integration, that wholeness, that's your superpower. That's your comeback. That's your destiny. So let the false self die. Grieve it if you need to. Honor what it tried to do for you. It kept you safe when you needed safety. But now you need truth. And the truth is, you are so much more than who you've been pretending to be. Chapter 4. Alchemy. Turning pain into power. Now we get to the magic. The part where everything changes. The part where your pain becomes your purpose, your wounds become your wisdom, and your darkness becomes your light. Jung was obsessed with alchemy, not the literal practice of turning lead into gold, but the psychological alchemy of transforming suffering into strength. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. You're in the alchemical fire. You're being refined. You're being transformed. Jung identified that psychological transformation follows the same stages as alchemical transformation. Let me walk you through where you are and where you're going. Stage 1, Nigredo, the blackening. This is where you've been. The dark night. The breakdown. The dissolution. Everything turns black. Everything falls apart. You confront your shadow. You face your death. Most people get stuck here. They think the darkness is the end. But it's not the end, it's the beginning. Stage 2, albedo, the whitening. This is where you are now. The light begins to return. You start seeing clearly. You begin to separate what's real from what's false. You wash away the impurities. You emerge cleansed. Stage 3, citrinitas, the yellowing. This is where you're going next. The dawn, the awakening. You start to see the gold in your experience. The lessons, the growth, the wisdom. Your suffering starts to make sense. Stage 4, rubedo, the reddening. This is your destiny, the completion, the integration, the marriage of opposites. You become whole. You become gold. You become the person you were always meant to be. Your pain isn't pointless. Your struggle isn't wasted. Your suffering isn't evidence of failure. It's the fire that's forging you into something stronger, wiser, more powerful than you could have become through ease. Jung said, the gold of the philosophical stone is in man himself. The treasure isn't out there. The treasure is you, the transformed version of you, the alchemized version of you, Think about every powerful person you admire. Every artist, entrepreneur, leader, creator who moves you. Go back and study their story. You'll find the same pattern. They were broken first. They descended into their underworld. They faced their demons. They died and were reborn. Oprah? Childhood trauma transformed into empathy that healed millions. Steve Jobs being fired from Apple transformed into innovation. That changed the world, J.K. Rowling. Rock bottom transformed into magic that inspired generations. Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, transformed into wisdom that freed a nation. Your story isn't different. You're not the exception. You're following the same archetypal pattern of transformation that has created every hero, every teacher, every guide throughout human history. So here's how you actively participate in your own alchemy. First, witness without judgment. Stop trying to escape your feelings. Stop numbing. Stop bypassing. Sit with your pain. Feel it fully. Name it. Let it move through you. What you resist persists. What you feel, you heal. Second, extract the lesson. Every experience is your teacher. Ask, what is this here to teach me? What quality am I developing? What strength am I building? What awareness am I gaining? Third, find the gift in the wound. This is the hard one. Your deepest wound contains your greatest gift. The thing that hurt you most is connected to your purpose. Were you betrayed? You can now teach trust and discernment. Were you abandoned? You can now guide others home to themselves. Were you rejected? You can now create spaces of radical acceptance. Were you silenced? You can now give voice to the voiceless. Your mess becomes your message. Your test becomes your testimony. Your wound becomes your wisdom. Fourth, transmute through creation. Don't just process your pain, create from it. Write it, paint it, build it, share it. Turn your suffering into art, into business, into service, into impact. Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are not your pain. You are what you're choosing to become through all of it. And here's what you're becoming. Compassionate, because you've suffered. Wise, because you've learned. Strong, because you've endured. Authentic, because you've died to the false. Powerful, because you've integrated your shadow. Whole, because you've retrieved your fragments. You're becoming gold, my friend. Pure, refined, unshakable gold. Not despite your darkness, because of it. Not despite your pain, through it. Not despite your breakdown, from it. This is the secret the universe has been trying to teach you. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is random. Nothing is meaningless. Every single thing you've experienced has been necessary for your transformation. Every person who hurt you was training you in boundaries. Every failure was teaching you resilience. Every loss was making space for your authentic life. You thought you were being destroyed. You were being reconstructed. You thought you were falling apart. You were falling together. You thought you were losing everything. You were losing everything that was in the way of your true self. This is your alchemy. This is your transformation. This is your comeback. And the gold that's emerging from your fire, it's going to illuminate the world. Chapter 5. The Hero's Return, Living Your Comeback. So here we are, at the threshold. You've descended into darkness. You've faced your shadow. You've let the false self die. You've been alchemized by your pain. Now what? Now comes the most important part. The part where you actually live your comeback. Where you take everything you've learned and you step into the world as the transformed version of yourself. Jung studied hero myths from every culture throughout history, and he discovered something profound. Every hero's journey follows the same pattern. First, the hero lives in an ordinary world. That was your old life, unconscious, on autopilot, living by default. Then comes the call to adventure. Something breaks, shifts, shatters. That was your crisis. The hero resists at first. That was your denial, your bargaining, your attempts to go back to normal. Then the hero crosses the threshold into the unknown. That was when you finally surrendered and started doing the inner work. In the depths, the hero faces trials, meets allies and enemies, confronts their greatest fear. That's been your shadow work, your grief, your transformation. Then comes the ultimate test, the death and rebirth. That was letting the false self die. The hero seizes the treasure, the wisdom, the power, the self-knowledge. That's been your alchemy. And finally, the hero returns to the ordinary world, transformed with a gift for the community. That's where you are now. The return, the comeback. But here's what most people don't understand about the return. You can't go back to your old life. The hero who returns is not the same person who left. You've seen too much. You know too much. You've become too much. Your old life will feel too small. Your old patterns will feel like cages. Your old relationships may not survive your transformation. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's necessary. The challenge now is this. How do you live in the ordinary world with your extraordinary awareness? How do you function in a society that's still asleep when you've woken up? How do you maintain your transformation when everyone around you wants you to go back to who you were? This is the loneliest part of the journey. Because you've changed, but the world around you hasn't. Your family might not understand. Your old friends might feel distant. People might say you've changed like it's an accusation. And you'll look them in the eye and say, yes, I have. And I'm not going back. Here's how you live your comeback. First, protect your transformation. Set boundaries, fiercely. You don't owe anyone access to your energy, your time, your presence. If someone doesn't support your growth, they don't get a front row seat to your life. Second, find your tribe. You need people who speak your new language, who understand your journey, who celebrate your evolution instead of resenting it. Seek them out. They're looking for you, too. Third, live from your truth, not your trauma. Don't let your past define your future. You're not a victim anymore. You're not broken anymore. You're not small anymore. Make decisions from your power, not your pain. Fourth, build the life that matches your transformation. New consciousness requires new actions. If you've transformed internally, but you're external, life stays the same. Same job you hate, same toxic relationship, same limiting environment, you'll regress. Your outer world must reflect your inner change. Quit the job that suffocates your soul. End the relationship that requires you to be small. Move to the place that makes you feel alive. Start the business that aligns with your purpose. Create the art that expresses your truth. Fifth, share your gift. Remember, the hero returns with a treasure for the community. Your transformation isn't just for you. It's for everyone you're meant to serve. Your story will save someone. Your wisdom will guide someone. Your courage will inspire someone. Your authenticity will give someone permission to be themselves. Jung said, as far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. You've been through the darkness. You've found the light. Now you become the light for others. This is what your comeback is really about. It's not just personal transformation. It's cosmic service. You don't heal just for yourself. You heal for your lineage, for your children and their children, for everyone who witnesses your courage and thinks, maybe I can transform too. Your comeback creates a permission slip for others to have their comeback. Your healing creates a ripple that extends far beyond what you can see. So what does life look like now? What does it feel like to live as your integrated, authentic, transformed self? It feels like coming home, like you can finally breathe, like you're no longer performing or pretending or protecting, like you're just being. It feels like power, not over others, but over yourself. Not dominance, but sovereignty. You're in your body. You're present. You're grounded. You're whole. It feels like peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer at war with yourself. You've made peace with your shadow. You've accepted your story. You've forgiven your past. It feels like purpose, like everything you've been through was preparing you for exactly what you're meant to do now, like your life finally makes sense. And here's the beautiful truth. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. Because individuation isn't a destination, it's a lifelong process. You'll keep evolving. You'll keep discovering. You'll keep transforming. There will be more deaths and rebirths, more shadows to integrate, more layers to shed, more gold to refine. But you know the way now. You've walked through the fire. You've descended to the underworld and returned. You've become the hero of your own story. And from this day forward, nothing can break you. Because you've already been broken and put yourself back together. Nothing can defeat you. Because you've already died and been reborn. You're not the person you were before your crisis. You're not even the person you were at the beginning of this video. You're someone new, someone integrated, someone powerful, someone whole. You're the comeback. So here's what I need you to do right now. Take a deep breath. Feel your body. Feel yourself here, present, alive, transformed. You made it. Through the darkness, through the pain, through the death, through the fire. You made it. And now it's time to step fully into this comeback. No more hesitation. No more playing small. No more waiting for permission. I want you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Not to me, not to anyone else. To yourself. Say this out loud. I am no longer who I was. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. I embrace my shadow. I honor my truth. I claim my power. I accept my purpose. This is my comeback, and I'm going to live it fully. Good. Now here's what happens next. Today, do one thing that the old you would have been too afraid to do. Send the text. Have the conversation. Make the change. Take the step. Start the thing. This week, identify one aspect of your false self that's still running the show. One pattern you're ready to release. One mask you're ready to remove. And consciously choose differently. This month, create something from your transformation. Write about it. Talk about it. Build something from it. Turn your mess into your message. This year, completely redesign your life to match your transformation. If it doesn't honor who you've become, it has to go. And right now, leave a comment below. Tell me one thing you're committed to doing differently because of your transformation. Share your comeback story. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. I'm honored you found this video. I'm honored you stayed until the end. I'm honored to have been part of your journey, even just for this hour. Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. You've looked inside, you've awakened. Now go out there and show the world what awakened looks like. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your comeback. You're not reading this by accident. You're not watching this by coincidence. This is your synchronicity. This is your sign. This is your invitation. The biggest comeback of your life isn't coming. It's already here. It's happening right now. So go be the hero of your own story. Go integrate your shadow. Go live your truth. Go share your gift. Go become who you were always meant to be. Go live your comeback. And when you do, come back and tell me about it. Because your story matters. Your transformation matters. Your comeback matters. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for choosing yourself. Now go, transform the world. I'll see you in your comeback. Your comeback starts now. Subscribe for more transformational content. Drop a comment with your commitment. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.